It is Saturday, May 23rd. Joe Delarone Ujuts. Welcome to our COVID-19 Task Force Daily Update on a pretty nice Saturday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying yourself wherever you may be listening in from, whether it's Kahnawake or far beyond, because we know that we do have people watching from everywhere, and from wherever you're at, welcome along. On today's program, we don't have any of the usual suspects joining us today. Instead, we're going to talk to David Martel over at Kahnawake at the Genhas Community Services. He's a psychologist, and as a matter of fact, he's the Supervisor of Psychological Services. And as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of anxiety everywhere around the world. And certainly we are not exempt, and we're not, we've had the same problems that everyone else has. So joining us is David Martel. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. How about you?
Not too bad. First of all, I hope we're not taking you away from anything overly exciting on a beautiful day.
Well, there's my garden waiting for me right after this.
Well, we'll try not to keep you too long, and we'll get to the point. First of all, it's the first time I'm speaking to you, so I'm glad to meet you. I know that you haven't been here for years and years, so for a lot of people in Kahnawake, this would be an introduction for you. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been working with KSCS, etc., that would be nice.
Of course, with pleasure. So like you said, I'm a psychologist. I have just a bit more than 10 years experience in the field. And I started working at KSCS about a year and a half ago. Basically, I did work in many different settings, and for the last 5 years or so, I was running my business in private practice. And what I discovered by comparing that experience with previous experiences I had working in the public sector, for example, in CLSCs and hospitals, it was really too lonely for me, like being just in my own office and all of that. And I really wanted to kind of have a team again and be part, of a community. So guess what? I found something great here at KSCS and in Kahnawake, which is a very welcoming community, and I'm really glad to be here.
Big team, but now you're working just the way you were before in in your house, separated
Yes,
from everyone.
Yes.
So tell us what some of the requests for services that are coming to KSCS and how you're dealing with it. And just give us an overall picture, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So the global picture really is that the requests that we're receiving at KSCS are really similar to the usual requests that we are receiving. We have a bit less volume of requests. And let's say like in addiction services, it's still the same leading problems that is presently here. So alcohol abuse is, the leading problem leading to, requests for services. And in psychological services, as well as for the support counseling, it's mainly anxiety and depression, as, was the case pre-pandemic. What we do observe, though, is that the pandemic adds layers to those problems that were, very often pre-existing. As far as I know, I have maybe received one request that was very specific to, since COVID began, I, started becoming more anxious. But aside from that, it's kind of a big contributing factor, an amplifying factor.
So does that mean that everyone is coping well, or does it mean that people are sometimes shy to seek out help and seek out services sometimes?
That's a really good question, and we can make a lot of hypotheses about that. I guess that for some people, since work and school is off the table right now, less pressures might equal a bit less anxiety or other forms of psychological difficulties. It might also be the case that for some people, they might not have the space to have some privacy at home to really go and get services, since those services are mainly phone and like we're doing right now, like Zoom or alternative methods. But really, and I think we have a research project that's coming up where we're going to sound out, reach out to the community to know a bit more about their reality, and we'll be able to have more information about that state of affairs.
We've talked on this program in the past about some of the different services and some of the outreach that KSCS is offering, and I know that as an organization, it tries to hit every demographic as possible, whether it's little kids to great grandmothers. What can you tell us about some of the different services that have come up since the COVID-19 pandemic, and what kind of effect are they having?
Sure. And one thing I'd like to highlight first is the fact that KSCS is basically operating, at the same speed, let's say, as before. We are delivering services as we did. It's mainly the modality that changed. Again, using, remote counseling, remote technologies to provide and deliver those services, but all areas are fully functioning. And for example, I think you had Rebecca D'Amico on the show a few weeks or days ago, who probably told you about the Let's Talk Kahnawake, which is still fully operational. And I don't remember if she mentioned it at the time, but there is a direct line. So we made it even easier instead of having to call the PKs to access, that service. There's a phone number that I could give you right now, which is the 514-235-9607. So again, it's 514-235-9607, and that will connect you with a support counselor right away. And the beauty of this service is that you don't need to have, a file open and all of that. You can just pick up the phone and give a call. This specific service is open from Mondays through Thursdays from 5 to 8 p.m. Also, they have a specific Facebook page which has the same name, Let's Talk Kahnawake. For addiction response services, they do have a Facebook too. The name, which is a bit complicated for me still, 1 year and a half is not too long to start pronouncing well. So I'm Ganingeha, so I'll say the equivalent in English for now, which is Your Mind Will Be Good/well. So if people Google that, Your Mind Will Be Good/well, they will find that resource, that Facebook page that our addiction counselors have put up. They also are offering some groups on Zoom. So as I said before, remote services. Aside from that, let me see in my notes. Well, of course, if you have needs, we just spoke about Let's Talk Kahnawake, but if you need more sustained services, if you need to see a support counselor, if you need to see a psychologist to get some assessments done, some psychotherapy, you just need to call intake as usual. They will pick up the phone as usual during opening hours. So KSCS's phone is 450-632-6880. It's the usual number that I think is well known in the community. And the on-call and after-hours worker, again, still fully operational through the PKs, at the end of the day, overnight and during the weekends, it's 450-632-6505. And on maybe one last thing that I have in terms of resources, the KSCS's main website, there's a bunch of useful links there to resources for it spans parenting advice, how to cope with anxiety during COVID. It links to all of our, KSCS's resources as well.
We have our conversation here. Earlier, you talked about the layers of issues in terms of people who have some problems. Do you notice an acceleration of problems when you have something as unique as a pandemic? We've never had anything like this before. Those who were troubled, there's a lot of work. I know a lot of people try and improve their lives, get all the help they can. Is it more difficult to get help when you're in a situation like this, or is it actually easier? I'm just throwing that out there because I've never...
No, but it's a very interesting question, because as a matter of fact, again, human nature is quite complex, and it really depends. It's case by case very often. But for some people, it's actually easier. If you're scared about going out of your house and it really creates a massive obstacle to you getting, sessions with a psychologist or a therapist, well, staying in your home and accessing those services via Zoom or a phone session can actually be a great first step, that kind of circles around that obstacle, and then you can progress to, because eventually this thing will be over, and you can start exposing yourself to being outside and going to appointments and all of that. And of course, the reverse is also true. Some people are really suffering from being isolated, cooped up with at home with possible increased family tensions, becoming a bit stir crazy and all of that. So we see a lot of stuff along that continuum, if you wish.
All right, final question. For those people who feel they're coping well, are there any thoughts you have for them to keep them going in that direction? Because when something goes on for a long time, something can change. So if there's
Sure.
any advice you can give on that.
Right. Well, I think that, there are some basics to mental health that you'll hear from, anyone, your doctor, your psychologist, your friends. So maintaining as healthy lifestyle as you can. So exercising regularly, realistically too, trying to eat as best as you can, sleeping, having a proper routine, all of that will help with some stability. And of course, in a way, and I mean, could be perhaps a silver lining of a pandemic like that. If it does increase and brings to your attention some issues that you're having, well, maybe it creates this opportunity for change where you can reach out and request some help to work on it. And we'll be glad to pick it up and provide that help at KSCS, that's for sure.
All right. Well, David Martel, thank you so much for taking time out on a Saturday to talk about this. I think you brought up some very interesting points, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Pleasure to meet you guys.
All right, take care. David Martel is the Supervisor of Psychological Services at Sigutliat Community Services here in Kahnawake. Before we wrap up, and we are wrapping up, just to let everybody know that we're about 9 days away from the potential opening of businesses here in Kahnawake. Of course, we all know that there are many essential services businesses that have been open all along, but there is an opportunity to open up, and it looks like June 1st is the potential date. It is not confirmed. We've said this time and time again, but the information is available. If you're a business, you want to make sure you're ready to go, you can check us out at covid-19.kmhc.ca/for-business, and all the information you need is there. And of course, at the end of this program, you'll see a list of many phone numbers for anything you need, any of the services that are available here in Kahnawake during this pandemic. So once again, thanks to David Martel. Don't forget, Let's Talk is now available anytime, not just at, it used to be Thursdays till Fridays, Mondays through Thursdays, and they have a number that is available at all times. So you can call them at 514-235-9607. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow here on the COVID-19 Daily Update. Remember, Kahnawake, stay clean, stay apart, and if you're not feeling well, stay home or get yourself checked out. Take care. Onigiwahi.